I love that video. I love that video. Thank you, Steph.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right. Welcome. Welcome.
Hang
to
on.
The new...
There's nothing like the joy of having everything locked up.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I'm going to get the slides up here in a minute. So you all want to start?
Okay.
All right. Welcome to the new Educators in VR XR news show.
Formerly the news and updates. We are back again with another episode.
We want to thank our XR news crew. They're all volunteers bustling their virtual buns to help us bring you the news from across the metaverse.
Indeed, we've scheduled the XR news to be on the 2nd and 4th weeks of the month. And wow, are we glad. We're still getting out some of the bugs, as you can tell, during this shakedown remodel. Thank you all for your patience.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
Well, we have a great show for you all today. After the news segment, our special guest is our very own Lorelle VanFossen, director and co-founder of Educators in VR and longtime producer of the XR News. Yay, Lorelle!
Love the hat. Lorelle and her Educators in VR team produce about 800 VR educational events a year, breaking all kinds of records with the number of events, the type of events, and pushing the boundaries of immersive education and event production.
Lorelle and her team have taught over 80,000 people how to use VR in over 4,000 events since 2018. That's just amazing. We are so thrilled to have her with us every show, but especially excited to share her with all of you during our guest speaker session coming up after the news today.
Thank you all for your kind words, I think. I look forward to being interrogated by you two. We'll see.
Well, it's Halloween season, so we have to do our part. Now, on to the news.
Yeah, industry news. I think it is appropriate to start our XR industry news with mention of a few Halloween apps to help you get enough horror this year.
Horror and poorer. Some of these are expensive, but they look really cool. So one of the first ones up is Another Door Escape Room. It's a new VR game that offers both horror and action experiences. You can play it alone or in a co-op mode with levels ranging all over the place. And we can quote, "From a trapped air lair built by a mad scientist to a haunted doll's room cursed by the spirit of a dead child." Sounds like it's a movie thing. So sick. VRs.
Meanwhile, in something a little lighter, Arizona Sunshine Remake is the remodel of the popular zombie post-apocalyptic Southwestern America game. Vertigo Games has completely rebuilt it from the original, just in time for Halloween.
Clawball is a competitive 3x3 VR soccer game for Quest users with what is called arm swinging locomotion. It's free to play, and they have some seasonally themed cosmetics for your Halloween costume party in the game.
Dress face makeup. Okay. Death Game
Try
Hotel. Yeah, Death Game Hotel is a new Quest game that is both a gambling, puzzle, and horror game for multiplayers. The reviews so far are excellent. It's very anime. It's wonderful.
Meanwhile, Dungeons of Eternity was voted Upload VR's best multiplayer game in 2023. It's launched a new Halloween sandbox update for Quest users to create their own custom encounters with new weapons and other accessories.
Nicely said, Steph.
Yes, nice.
Well, for our Lego lovers, Lego
Yay.
Bricktales has added a new Halloween update with a spooky swamp diorama, more puzzles, and even a narrative line where you must help the mysterious witch. There are so many other VR games and apps with Halloween treats. So get your headset on and let us know what scares you the most.
I love Halloween. Okay,
Me too.
let's take a trip down memory lane. These things make me feel old. Augmented Empire. Anyone remember Augmented Empire? You're all too young. You're all too young. Originally released for the Oculus Go, this narrative strategy game had players leading a team of misfits from a top-down perspective. So it's not a really immersive event. You're actually kind of seeing it from the top down. You know how those kind of things are. And it was launched originally for Oculus Go in 2018 for let me rewind that. The Oculus Go was launched in 2018 for $200, not the game. And it was Facebook's first standalone VR headset, and it sold like hotcakes. So anybody remember the Oculus Go? I remember the Oculus Go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It featured a 3DoF tracking system and a single hand controller, making it accessible for casual users. I remember in Outspace, you could always tell an Oculus Go user because they only had one hand in front of them.
Yep.
One hand, a single hand controller. Now, Coatsy, the company Coatsy Sync has revamped Augmented Empire for the Quest 2 and the 3, breathing new life into this classic tale.
And you know, it's always exciting to see beloved games updated to meet modern technology. Proof that nostalgia can blend seamlessly with innovation.
Oh, yay. Well
Indeed.
said.
In other XR industry news, Unity has launched Unity 6, promising improved version management with less frequent major updates to enhance compatibility across platforms. This update aims to streamline development processes for creators working within the metaverse ecosystem. We see these developments as part of the evolution of the metaverse space, emphasizing enhanced interactivity, user engagement, and technological integration, especially with the coming of AI in XR.
And I cannot wait for their platforms to support Unity 6. There's some really cool stuff in it. Okay, Epic Games bought Sketchfab. They are transitioning Sketchfab to Fab, a new marketplace set to launch in 2024. Now, I want to thank Mark Jeffcock for giving us some really amazing information on what's going on with us to help us understand. Fab will focus on paid content only without the community features, rankings, or free items that Sketchfab users have come to expect. While paid CC BY, Creative Commons by standard license for 3D content, all of that 3D content will be migrated to Fab, but the fate of other license types and public domain models remains uncertain.
This transition raises questions for Sketchfab's diverse user base. Cultural heritage community members have been assured that their content will remain accessible for viewing and downloading on Sketchfab for now. However, conflicting information suggests that Sketchfab will close down in 2025, with Fab offering a limited unified community for storing and viewing content, but not downloading.
This shift represents a significant change in the 3D content sharing landscape. Users are advised to stay informed about supported file formats and potential impacts on their own content. The move towards a more commercialized platform may alter the dynamics of the 3D modeling community, particularly for those relying on Sketchfab's free and open sharing model.
A list of alternatives to Sketchfab and Fab are in the process of being made, and we'll share that information with you in the Educators in VR Cultural Heritage channel and on our next show.
Thank you again, Mark, for getting that information to us. Now, Apple has won a patent for an augmented reality light system that projects AR content onto tables, walls, and more without a headset. Now, it was originally mentioned in a report in 2020, and it was followed up in 2023 with a patent for these really advanced projectors that could project content onto walls and other flat surfaces. Others have been exploring this actually for for several decades, because the goal is to have that Star Trek holodeck-like experience. I can't wait for this. And this new technology looks like it's taking us just a little bit closer. So I'm excited about that.
We're going to get there.
That's cool. That's awesome. Educators in VR will be announcing this week their new EDVR Wrecking Crew project. For years, Educators in VR is often invited to test educational tech and apps in XR. They are now formalizing the process by inviting more volunteers to apply. They'll be offering training sessions on how to test and evaluate XR hardware and software. So stay tuned for more news on the EDVR website, Discord, and social media sites by the end of the week. Any chance they're giving any of that out for free, Lorelle?
Well, we've actually had, sometimes they do supply the hardware. So we'll see.
Oh,
and the
that's
apps.
a motivator.
You have to have access to the apps. So you have access to the apps or the platforms. And so, yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this.
Looking forward to that.
Interesting. Me too.
Explorers have unveiled stunning 3D scans of Sir Ernest Shackleton's ship, the Endurance, which sank in Antarctica's Weddell Sea in 1915. The wreck, discovered in 2022, lies nearly 2 miles underwater and has been remarkably preserved by the frigid conditions. Created from over 25,000 high-resolution images, these detailed scans offer an unprecedented view of the 144-foot wooden vessel, showing toppled masts and ice damage, but an otherwise intact structure. The scans reveal fascinating artifacts like dinner plates, a boot, a flare gun.
Wow.
These scans not only bring history to life, but also provide valuable data for ongoing scientific research.
Interesting. You know, more and more historical landmarks, relics, and things like this are being scanned for 3D preservation. It's really exciting.
It is. I can't wait. I cannot wait to get access to some of that.
No kidding. And now for some virtual hardware. Meta's is now officially the industry's leading VR headset maker for consumers. Its new Quest 3S offers a competitively priced, high-quality, immersive experience reviewers are calling a tremendous accomplishment. Now available at a fraction of the cost of other brands at $300, its design is more comfortable than most, fast, and has access to all of Meta's library of VR apps and content.
The Meta Quest 3S is in some ways just a more powerful Quest 2 with color pass-through. A teardown video from iFixit reveals that the 3S has the older headset's IPD adjustment mechanism, as well as its Fresnel lenses. And it shares the same single LCD panel, rather than using one panel per eye, like the Quest 3. For the most part, what's changed the most is the software running the show.
It looks like an affordable choice that keeps Quest in the running. If you purchase the Quest 3S, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes, we would. Well, we're on to VR events, and the end is near. It's daylight savings time again.
Oh, boy.
Okay. This month has been a nightmare. Not just because of Halloween, but daylight savings time. How we managed to make it to all the VR events on time, because it changes every week. Every week, some other country changes right now. It's been a nightmare. We have 2 weeks left until daylight savings time. The dance is over. 2 more weeks. Ugh. Until then, please triple check event dates to make sure you don't miss a moment, because there's even the platforms are struggling with dates and stuff.
This year's annual Educators in VR Cyberbullying Month is nearly over. Wow, what an amazing month of topics and discussions. We have just over a week left, and there are more fascinating events you do not want to miss.
Well, earlier today, Dr. Ruth Bias and her team from the Troll Project and Bridgemakers hosted an amazing experience. They brought together 4 staff members and community leaders from some of the most popular social VR platforms including AltSpace VR, Horizon Worlds, Rec Room, VR Chat, and Banter, to discuss how they moderate the platform at scale.
You know, we're so often focused on moderation for ourselves in our events. And so it was really exciting to hear from those behind the scenes that push the levers and pull the cords and everything, that work long, long hours to keep us safe across multiple virtual environments, all kinds of worlds, all kinds of events. That was amazing.
Mm.
And you know, Faye, which many of you remember from AltSpace VR, said that staff moderators don't have the option to block offenders for individual events. They can remove them from the platform, but until then, they have to put up with some of the nasty people who haven't crossed that line yet.
What strength of will and determination it takes to put up with all that nonsense.
No
For
kidding. That's
yeah.
Everybody says
absolutely.
how many times have y'all heard I want that job? I want to be a moderator, just stand in VR and moderate people all day long. And I always say, not me, man. I would not want that job. I don't have the patience. So good on them. I have great respect for staff moderators.
Well, Stands with Trees is good at that. He's very good at that.
Yes, he is.
Well, we still have more exciting events coming up over the next week or so as part of our Cyberbullying Month. There are many fascinating conversations, inspired training sessions, and more special guests stepping out from behind the curtains of leadership and trolling to share their insights. Check out the announcements on the Educators in VR Discord and website.
Yeah. Now I'm excited. Mark is here. Mitch is here. I am so excited about this because these two guys are going head to head October 24th, tomorrow. Yay. And it's going to be a battle royale. So they're both experienced teachers in VR. One is from Australia, the other's from the UK. I'll let you figure out which one. And they teach in different ways. And so we're so excited. What a great idea that you guys had to really have these two teachers duel it out and showcase how they teach from the different perspectives. And I'm so excited. It is tomorrow. And I can't wait. Don't miss it.
No. Meanwhile, the AWE in USA is in Vienna, Austria, and it's next week. We are monitoring the social webs of four major announcements, and we will bring them to you our next show.
And SIGGRAPH Asia is coming up on December 10th through the 13th of 2024. Over the decades, some of the biggest announcements in innovative XR technology have come out of SIGGRAPH. So we'll be keeping an eye on that event news for you.
Now, December 11th, we have a special party planned here. So the XR News Show is going to be celebrating the holidays. So please come dressed in your finest holiday avatar attire and join us. Check out the costumes. There's some fun stuff in the costume stuff here in Engage.
There are a ton of holiday events in VR planned, and we will highlight them over the next month. First up is the Holiday Storytelling event featuring original stories from the Creative Writing Meetup. Since 2018, Lorelle has brought together writers from across the metaverse to explore their passions with words. The Holiday Storytelling event is a great way to get in the holiday mood, and we invite you to bring your own original holiday stories to share with us in Engage.
Absolutely.
Now you all know what is next in the news. It's Halloween.
It sure is. And you know, Halloween is when the social VR community literally comes out of the woodwork for an amazing holiday of thrills, chills, blood, gore, and horror. There are events all across the metaverse. So many, we don't even have time to list them all here. Dr. Heartbeats will be bringing you the tunes and joy in VR chat. Pandemonium Halloween events with Psycho and Cadets Metaverse will also be in VR chat.
Educators in VR has some scary social fun too for you on Halloween. For those into a milder form of scariness. And the Creative Writing Meetup will host its annual Haunted Stories session in Engage XR next Tuesday. It's going to be a fantastically hallowed Halloween.
Well,
Lordy.
We are at this time again. So we are excited to share our fellow host with you today as our guest.
All right.
Lorelle VanFossen entered the metaverse in the early 2000s in Second Life and arrived in VR in 2016. Oops.
And well, Steph has got, come on, join us. Come sit down. You get to sit in the middle this time, Karen.
Everybody left me.
You get to sit over in the middle here.
Eventually.
I love this bench.
I love that
Oh,
hat.
back away.
Yeah.
Almost.
You're right. Karen, right click, right mouse.
Oh,
Right
right
mouse
click.
button.
A minute.
Mhm.
Whoops. I am right click. Okay, I am right
All right.
clicking. I need to back
Steph,
up a
you can
little
go
bit.
while she's fiddling with her mouse, which I would not say
Okay.
in general public.
I wouldn't put it quite that way. With a
Yeah.
rich background as an educator, trainer, and keynote speaker in digital storytelling and marketing, Lorelle has been shaping minds for years. She's taught everything from writing to photography and social media, earning awards for her impressive work along the way. A natural teacher at heart, she was inspiring kids to read and write even in kindergarten.
Well, in 2018, Lorelle co-founded Educators in VR, which quickly grew to over 4,000 members. She launched the first Educators in VR conference on a whim in February of 2020. I remember that, bringing together over 6,000 attendees and breaking records with more than 170 speakers across 6 VR platforms. And let's not forget her role in creating one of the biggest Halloween VR events back in 2018, drawing over 10,000 attendees.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Lorelle's
crazy.
passion for
Mhm.
education and technology is infectious, and we can't wait to hear her insights today.
Absolutely. Lorelle, I was there at that conference, but can you tell us a little bit more about the 2020 conference?
That was incredible. So several of you, George, I think was there,
Mhm.
and there were a bunch of you that was there. Yeah, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
amazing. I think Karen was there, so, and I know H and I won't say was there for sure. We decided on a whim, like it was in February, and we decided in December. This is how stupid we are sometimes. Just go, hey, we're sitting around. Why don't we decide to have a big conference? And it's like, okay. Sure, and so we put out a form for people to apply to speak. We thought we'd get like 20 or 30 people. This is December at Christmas time. It was like so stupid, and I thought no one's going to respond because it's Christmas. Everybody's busy. What the heck, we'll push it harder in January and we'll see. So at Christmas, we put out like 3 or 4 days before Christmas or the day after, I can't remember. We put out the form, and within of December 2019, and within 3 or 4 days, we had over 100 speakers apply. And we're talking, and we're like,
wow.
We just planned a 6-day conference, and somebody said, oh, what the hell? Why don't we do it 24 hours a day? I mean, it's VR. Why not? And I was like, sure. So I literally had an inflatable bed, a nice comfy one, thank you, in my office. And I actually had a bucket to do your sweat in. When I couldn't go outside because it was freezing cold. And when I say it was freezing as cold, that's why I had the bucket. And I literally didn't walk in my house, which is a little distance from my office. I didn't walk in my house for I don't know, 6-7 days, hardly at all. I ran in for a shower every few days, but that was like 15 minutes. I had time to shower and stuff. But I slept in my office, and we had, as was mentioned, we had 170 speakers with 150 different events. It was amazing. We had over 6,000 attendees at that event, and I didn't know that. Altspace staff told me that afterwards. I didn't even know there were 6,000 people in VR. That just wasn't a thought, right? That's just not a number I would have thought of. And they said, yeah, you had over 6,000 event attendees. And so that staggered me. And then they told me that you broke records. And I'm like, what record? I don't understand. It just was like normal events to me. In those days, it was very common to have 100 to 200 people attending every single event. So it didn't occur to me that this was something special. They said, yeah, you broke records. That just had never been done in the metaverse before. And I was like, okay. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, it depends on your 2020 view of history. On Saturday was the last day of the 6-day event, and and Saturday night, like 2 hours after we had our final huge closing ceremony, which was actually done in it was simulcast in 2 platforms at the same time. We were in Somnium Space and in where the Somnium Space people, they did a flash mob for us. It was awesome. They all did a choreographed dance for us while we were in Engage XR. It was amazing. And I think it was being live streamed to Engage at the same time. So maybe it was 3 platforms. Anyway, it was all simulcast at the same time. Again, breaking some records, doing cross-platform stuff. And around 11 or 12 o'clock that night, a storm came through and my power went out. And my power came on somewhere in the night, Sunday night. So when I woke up on Monday, we had electricity. And so I went to check, and I had like over 100 emails of panicked people because of lockdown. No. We had been talking about the coronavirus. It wasn't called COVID at the time. It was called the coronavirus. And all of a sudden, the government, while I was kind of sleeping, forced lockdown. And so I wake up on Monday to just dozens and dozens and dozens of requests of how'd you do the conference? Can we bring your conference in? Can you produce it? And I'm like, no, I'm still recovering. And we ended up turning Educators in VR into a commercial event production company for about 2 years. And I said, no, this stops. It wasn't a moneymaker, and it was exhausting. But it served a purpose during the pandemic. I learned a ton, but it was exhausting. So
wow,
great memories and horror nightmares too.
You really?
And what do? We do it again. We do it again over and over. So we did another conference, and then we went from 6 days to 30 days, and then we went from 30 days to 12 months or 11 months of 10 months of conference stuff. Hey, Rachel, glad you're here. And then and now we're experimenting with unconferences, which is even more complicated. So
but they're only 1 day each, which is a difference.
The unconference,
different vibe.
Well, yeah, the 1 day. Well, the next one we're going to be doing in January, possibly the 1st of February. We were going to do it in November, but our partner backed out at last minute, so we've pushed it. They want to come in, they just can't logistically. I don't want to go into the story of it, but they can't logistically handle it right now. So we've agreed to postpone it until the first part of next year. And we're probably going to do 2 days.
Well, it's still not as bad as a week.
Yeah, wait a minute. But hold on. You haven't heard the rest of it. On 3 to 6 platforms.
Oh.
But I am
Wow.
trying to restrict it to 8 hours each day. But we may have multiple tracks, and so we need volunteers. If anyone is to volunteer, please. Anyway.
I think we should change the subject. What originally got you into all this was trying to teach in VR.
Stupidity, naivete, insanity. Seriously. So I've started writing about this. I started publishing it on our Educators in VR site called Lessons Learned Teaching in VR, looking at the last 8 years of teaching in VR. And I talk about the lessons I learned when I just started. And I have been fascinated with virtual reality. I was in Second Life. I wasn't really active because I was working and traveling full time, and but I was hanging out and sponging up everything constantly, and I loved it. And I saw people teaching, I saw people producing events, I saw the conferences, I saw all the stuff in Second Life, and it's like, I want to be a part of this. This is where education is going. And so I got my first headset actually out of pure accident. Many of you have heard this. My phone broke just before like the day before I was to head up to Seattle to do a big keynote and a bunch of workshops. And so I raced into Best Buy before they closed, and I said, I need a phone. I can't. It's broken here. And it was unpacking. They were. It wasn't even announced. They were unpacking some VR headsets. There was the Samsung Gear VR, the first edition, and they were unpacking them. And I said, "What are these?" And they go, "Well, they're this thing called VR. These are headsets. You put your phone in it. I think." I said, "What phone goes with that?" And they said, "Well, this one does." And I said, "I want that phone and give me the headset." And it came for free with the phone. I paid a lot for the phone, but I got so like an idiot, I throw it into my luggage, and I think I have to be on the train at 6 a.m. And so I thought, okay, I'll work on it on the train.
Uh-oh.
So imagine this: I'm on the train, and I get my phone, the phone started up and loaded up, and I get all the VR stuff installed on it, and I put it in the headset, and I put it on, and I'm doing just some basic thing, but everything I'm looking at, as I'm looking at it, the train is turning.
And it's
but
not.
And it isn't. My view is not turning. And so it's like moving on. I'm going, wait a minute, back here. And when I finally took off the headset, I was facing the back of the train seat, my seat. I'd revolved completely around in my train seat. So the gyroscope was not working very well in my phone at that time. So it was just bonkers. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I knew immediately this is what I wanted to do. I didn't know what it was going to look like. So I spent the next couple of years studying. And if you read the article series, I went around slowly sponging up, attending things, watching, hawking, not talking, just looking, watching, absorbing, because I was still traveling full-time, working all the time and teaching. I was developing a course in university in web publishing and stuff, and busy girl as usual. So I started to get to know a few of the event hosts, and I asked them over and over again. I tried asking them, what can you teach in VR? And the answer I got back, everything. Right? You can do anything you want in VR. That was the dream. We know we're smarter now, aren't we, Karen and Steph?
Yeah. Well, Lorelle, that kind of brings me to to what I really would like to know what you consider to be really the hardest topic to teach in VR.
And that's a great segue. Thank you. Because this was the issue. When I got everything, is you can teach anything and everything. And I went, that doesn't help me. So I started asking, what can you not teach in VR? And they told me writing. And I thought, why? Because it sucks to write in VR? And they said, no, just nobody's interested in it. And so I took that as a challenge, because I kept hearing that over and over again. They can't teach writing in VR. And I kept saying, there's got to be a way. And I'm a writer. So why not teach something that I enjoy? I love writing. More than talking. I love writing. And so I thought, okay, let's see if I can do this. And I did. And the creative writing meetup has been going since 2018. And we've had thousands of people come through our virtual doors, and it's wonderful to talk with people who are passionate about storytelling, about connecting with others through words, of understanding how the language works. And today we talked about, yesterday we talked about imagery and visualization, and finding how do you describe something to someone using all your senses and understand and convey that. So you're doing more showing than telling, but you got to do a little telling. It's just really interesting. And I have learned so much more about writing and met like Steph and so many others here. I've met just amazing gifted writers. And Rachel, we missed you in writing. So a little bit of guilt tripping right there. But it's such a gift to be able to share your story. And I think that everyone has a story inside of them. But it was not easy. So it was not easy trying to convey, writing sucks in VR. So that's been the hardest thing for me. But I think the hardest thing has not been so much teaching as it has been understanding how VR works and what's the difference in the real world. And my first world, I was so excited. So I'm giving you a preview of what's going to be posted soon. Or no, I may have already posted. I can't remember. Was I had, when you think about storytelling, I think of the campfire. everybody huddled around the campfire, right? Sharing the
Mhm.
stories of marshmallows. We
Yes.
love that, okay? So I found one of the old, beautiful worlds of alt space that had a jungle scene, and there was a fire pit in the middle of it. I went, yes, let's stand around. It's a night scene. Let's stand around there. First day, I'm so excited. We've got the stereotype of the wonderful campfire. We've got a night scene that's really intimate feeling, and I'm ready to write. And the first person comes in, jumps right in the fire pit, stands up and spins around in circles going, well, I'm on fire! I'm on fire! Look at me! So my first lesson in VR was event moderation. and to deal with the distractions. And then Karen 666 and I have spent years really trying to understand how do you build and create an effective educational immersive education space. And she and I have published a couple of articles, and we're working on a book and stuff, and the research continues on this of what really works. And you can't have a completely distraction-free environment, but you can make it purposely distracting. And that's what I found is that if you create places for people to stand up and jazz around and shake and, go, look at me, they will do that, and then they'll calm down and they'll pay attention. So you build with that in mind. And Karen was one of the ones who helped me identify that. So I love that.
You two did
You
actually
can't
publish
fix
the
it.
book, didn't you?
Yeah, you can't fix it, so you work with it. It's just
So is that your favorite VR memory?
no. Well, God, I have so many of them. Boy, good question. Okay, here's my absolute favorite memory, and I used to tell this all the time, so it's been a while. So I burnt my right hand, very badly. I had second-degree burns and a couple of very bad ones, worse ones, on my hand. And of course, you're right, I'm right-handed, and at the time I was only in my headset, but I knew that AltSpace had 2D capability. So I'm sitting there in misery because I'm allergic to pain meds. And the first world building tools were announced, that wasn't Shane's stuff, in AltSpace, the world builder that Jimmy built. And I thought, well, when I get a chance, when you say this, when I get time, I need to learn how that works. Well, suddenly I have a burned hand. I can't work. I can't do anything. I suddenly had time. And I thought, well, what the hell? They say that VR helps block pain. So my hand was wrapped in bandages that fit right over the mouse, and I could use one finger. So I came in and started, you build what you know, and I live in a tree forest. So a little bit of a tree farm. So I started building a beautiful forest with just, our cartoon trees we had, and it had a little path and made little birds and stuff. And these two ladies came in and said, oh man, this place is cool. These trees are cool. Can you climb them? I went, I don't know. What the hell? Why not? And so we started climbing the trees. And when we got to the top, one of them yelled, what do we do when we're up here? How do we get down? And I said, I don't know, jump. So I jumped. And the way I jumped, moving forward, I bounced down the branches. And the three of us were laughing so hard. I swear to God, I wet my pants. I could not. We were laughing harder than I think I'd laughed in decades. And the first thing we got to the bottom, all three of us at the same time yelled, do it again! And we went up and down for like 45 minutes, and until I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard. So that leads me to my absolute favorite memory that happened here with some of you are here. When I'm not gonna cry. Okay, when AltSpace VR closed, everybody said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I thought about it, and I really, really thought about it, and I realized I want to go out the way I came in, laughing. So I went back to that same world, and Karen 666 joined me, and Steph joined me, and we climbed trees, laughed our butts off, and fell down and climbed back up again, didn't we?
Yeah, and it took a lot longer than we expected because it didn't close down. They said it would.
And then I was
There's
like,
nothing like waiting for the
Karen?
end of the world and having it not happen for a while.
Yeah, but you or Karen said one of my absolute favorite lines about us being a bunch of old biddies. Do you remember it?
Oh, No, I don't.
Karen probably does. Okay, so it was like, okay, I'm sure that this is like candid camera and that we're being filmed, because there's nothing more exciting than watching these 3 old biddies falling off trees and climbing trees and flying off trees over and over and over again, because we wanted to have it alt space and as we were falling. So we had to climb really fast and have it quit right when we were in midair. And so, and over, we're just going, oh God, these 3 old ladies are climbing up trees and falling. This is just insane. And it did, it happened. I was in midair when it went out, and the notice came up, and then, and then it was like, and we're all, I think we were on Discord or we were on voice. We could all hear each other or something. And anyway, we're like, okay, now what? Now what?
It was kind of anticlimactic.
It was anticlimactic, and then it ended, and then it was like, well, and it, boom, it went dark. But what a joyous thing to have shared those 2 moments in that tree place. That was just beautiful. So thank you for being, Karen and Steph, thank you, Karen 6 and Steph, thank you for being a part of one of my favorite memories.
Okay, Lorelle, now you shared one of your favorite memories. I hate to ask you this, but what's one of your worst memories in VR?
You know, I was raised by a mom who was a optimistic pessimist, and she said that every horrible thing, just look at it as another chapter in your life, and you better laugh at it sooner, because in the end you're going to be laughing at it later, you know, because that's the best way is to twist negative stories into bad ones. So worst, you know, I've been sexually assaulted, I've been harassed, I've been doxxed, I've had all kinds of horrible things happen. But the truth is that when I stop and I think about the big picture, because there's been days where, I mean, honestly, I'm sure that we've all had them where we're sick of this. This is just too painful, too hurtful, too whatever, and we want out of it. But I've always realized the bigger picture, that VR has the potential. And when I look around this room, to bring people together, and I look around this room and I see people here that are from all over the world, and we found commonality. We have found a community here and a family here. And what Karen and Lance have built with, and the rest with Cadets Metaverse, is so beautiful. That is a family. And we're very protective of our family. And so you know, all those few bad ones, I think, are easily replaced if we just remember that we're here for a bigger reason.
Well said. Well, you still teach so many workshops and sessions. What makes VR easy and or hard to work in?
I want to swear, because my answer is a swearing one. I'm going to be good. Okay, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good. Flipping time zones. If there's one thing, I think that daylight savings time is a nightmare, but time zones. Steph and Karen, Karen and I are in the same time zone, but Steph isn't. But it doesn't matter. We're all in different time zones. And poor Mitch, this is early morning for you. So it's like in Australia, and it's hell working with people that are wonderful all around the world, but we have this stupid time zone thing. And I have it's a wonder that I haven't missed more events, or I've done things or meetings. The events I'm really paranoid about, but meetings, I've missed a few meetings because somebody said a time, they didn't give me the time zone, or they gave me the wrong time zone because they assumed I was somewhere else. And that part I think that's the one thing. You know, I'd like our avatars to be better. I'd like to be able to move better. I'd like this to all to be easier. It's going to be in the future, but freaking.
And you want a holodeck too, let's face it. But
I do. I want a holodeck. Give it to me now. Now. I want it now. Flying cars and holodecks. You know, no, but actually, I've seen the way people drive. No, flying is going to be more complicated. But yeah, no, time zones. If we could get rid of the time zones or deal with that, but it's too complicated. Well, so we're running. Yeah, we're running out of time. Is there? We're going to take some from the audience.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So we're going to have Lance is going to.
What have you always wanted to ask, Lorelle, but was
oh my
afraid
God!
to...
I'm now paranoid. I'm now paranoid. So Lance is.
You better be.
Thank you. Hopefully you all will be able to unmute yourself. Thank you. All right. And because we have another event immediately after this, so I don't have a whole lot of time to run over. So unmute and ask your question. We got like 3 minutes for questions, but let's keep it short and sweet. Anyone? You look at it, I'm still producing and directing. You all should shut me up.
Well, I'm just wondering why you don't take a leadership role in introducing a UTC, because then you just say, well, you just remember one number. You have UTC and then you go plus minus whatever time zone you're in. You know, I think it's very simple.
Yeah, it's very simple to you. Unfortunately, 99.9% of the people in the world think that UTC is a urinary tract infection.
Yeah.
Well,
Seriously.
maybe take that leadership role, and
I do all the time. But we've been talking about it for 8 years, longer than that. But it starts with teaching children how to tell time and how to identify that they are in a time zone. Most people don't know what time zone they're in. They don't know until they know what time zone they're in and they understand it. But it takes education. We have to teach people how to do it. So yeah, it makes me crazy. So Peter, yeah, I saw you had your hand up. Thanks, George.
Yeah, just one thing added to the UTC. If you open Google and you write UTC, it immediately shows you your local time or compare it to the UTC. So I'm working in aviation. It means like we are using UTC/GMT time.
Yeah.
And if you just simply open the Google, it says you exactly the time that it should be. But yeah, but I know what you're saying.
People have to do it. It's an extra step.
Yeah.
It's an extra step, and people have to learn how to do it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So when we did our 2020 conference, we actually had everybody try to tell us their time zone and their regions, and then we'd go in, we'd switch our calendar to their time zone, and we'd set, because we didn't want them presenting when they were, should be asleep. So we'd find a time that would fit the slot, in the planning that they would normally be awake. And we put one person in, and when we switched back to our time, it broke the calendar. It went to shattered pieces, and we freaked out. And I mean, it was horrifying. I mean, I was completely freaking out about it, and it took me a little bit of time to realize that it was because this person was somewhere in Tibet or Nepal or something, and they had a 45-minute time zone. We're used to the States and Europe, we're used to 1 hour between. There are places where it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and 45 minutes, not an hour. So once I understood that, and I let him know that he was going to have to speak 15 minutes before he thought he was supposed to speak, so we adjusted it, then our calendar went back to normal, but that threw everything completely off. Learning about it, it's just, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on time zone, because I could do a whole show on time zone. But trust me, it is one of the biggest pain points here. And we also had problems with platforms that wouldn't adjust to daylight savings time. And for like 2 or 3 years in a row, we had people in the UK pissed off in AltSpace because they had to manually go in and change the event times when daylight savings time hit the UK and in Europe, and a couple times they forgot because they had to do it manually until they found a way of programming it, and people were showing up at events or missing events, and they were pissed. Hosts were missing events, mods were missing events because of that. So I have a whole long history of I hate this. Anyway, enough with the time.
We're really running out of time, Lorelle.
Oh, we are. Okay.
So let's
Yay! Let's do this thing. Okay.
Well,
I have to figure out how to get out of here. Okay.
We have to go back up there?
Y'all know where I am, so please come talk to me and ask me more questions as we do. But let's get on with closing this, because we have the XR Launchpad is coming up from idea to business.
Okay, I'm stuck.
Okay. Are you stuck? Just teleport, stand up. W key to stand up.
Okay.
See, she's still teaching. I love it. And then turn around and teleport behind here, because I think the collider's up.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And I will have to leave as soon as, at the top of the hour for the next
There we
event,
go.
So. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you.
Now we know.
Good questions. Thank you so much. It was so fun. All right. We ready?
All righty. Should we do the closing?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
XR News is produced by Educators in VR and our XR News volunteer team the second and fourth weeks of the month until January to give us an opportunity to make adjustments as we test the new studio and find out how to sit.
Yes, we have to work on that. To keep up with the news from around the metaverse, in the meantime, make sure you join our Educators in VR Discord at discord.com/educators in VR, because that's where we put all of our news stories and stuff as we find them, even before we report on them here.
Mhm. Each of our shows is filmed for YouTube, and we'll soon add live streaming to our Education VR YouTube channel, Twitch, Discord, and more.
On November 27th, Rich Moore, who's sitting out there right in the front row with the white shirt and the hat, he's going to share his insights on his upcoming events for the Cadet Metaverse, his new Cadet Talk, PCV World Hop, and other thoughts on social VR and more. Rich is a good friend of mine, and we know each other in person. He became interested in VR a few years ago, starting with a Go headset. He eventually found his way to AltSpace VR, where he met friends and became part of our Cadets Metaverse group. When AltSpace shut down, he migrated to VR Chat with the group. Recently, Rich became an admin for the VR Chat group and helps to moderate and keep control in the Sunday World Hops. He spent about 6 months in Resonite, actively building a beautiful avatar world and made many friends there. He also created a server for the Resonite cadets, which is being active. Rich launched Cadet Talk, a monthly event where cadet members come together to share personal stories, whether it's about recent trips, feelings they want to discuss, or challenges they're facing. He also recently started up a PCVR tour group as part of the Cadets Metaverse and VR Chat. Rich has a love for technology and a special interest in emerging technologies like AI and VR. He's looking forward to continuing development on AI projects with me and continuing to grow Cadet Talk and the PCVR World Hop in VR Chat.
Yay.
Meanwhile, remember, we can't do
Thanks,
this
Rich.
without you and your support, like Rich's. We also cannot do this without the generous work of the XR news industry. We give credit to our sources each week that brings us the news. Thank you.
Remember, you're the reason we do this XR News Show. Until next time, stand up, stand tough, and most of all, in these amazing, uncertain times, please, please be safe wherever you are in the world.
Yay!
Bravo!
We did a thing!
We did a thing.
We will see you at our October 23rd event. All right.